Hello everyone, it's Santi here and welcome back to another FPL video on my channel. This is my Gameweek22 preview where I'm going to walk you through how my team currently looks for Gameweek22, what changes I'm looking to make before deadline, and also just look ahead to the blank Gameweek26 and what I'm looking to do with my team ahead of that. If you find the video helpful in any way, please do leave a like on the video and subscribe to my channel if you're not yet subscribed. Looking back at Gameweek21, I finished with 62 points -4 because I took an extra transfer heading into the game week. This is the team that I went with. I had Areola in goal who only returned 3 points. I think I'll have to get the goalkeeping decisions right at some point because the keeper that I normally go with in my team gets less points than the keeper that I have on my bench. So it happened again this game week, but eventually I'll have to get that right if we're going to end up with a good rank. In defense, I had Kyle Walker who returned 6 points after getting an assist against Newcastle, Gabriel with 17 points after getting a goal and an assist in Game 21, Alex Moreno kept a clean sheet against Everton in Game 21, returning 7 points. In midfield, I had Cole Palmer who returned 10 points, who was my vice captain, Anthony Gordon getting a goal against Man City, returning 7 points, Foden with 2 points, Bukayo Saka with 3 points, Garnacho, who was on my bench, returning 2 points. He came in place of Holland, who didn't play in Game 21. And up front, I had Joao Pedro, who was my captain, only returning 4 points, and Ollie Watkins with a blank in Game Week 21 against Everton. So on my bench, Petrovic with 10 points, Holland with no points, Botman with a single point, and Fabian Schär with a single point as well, after conceding 3 goals against Manchester City in Game 21. So I did end up on a green arrow. I was on 1.5 million. I'm currently on about 1.3 million. So it wasn't the worst gaming, but I think eventually we'll have to start pushing up and get better results if I'm going to finish on a better rank at the end of the season. So it was a decent game 21, considering that I think most managers didn't really do well, but we took a bit of a chance with bringing in Garnacho and Foden in game 21, but it didn't really pay off. But looking forward to the next few game weeks and hopefully we can do much better. This is how my team currently looks for Gaming 22 without making any changes. So Areola stays in goal playing at home against Bournemouth. I think Petrovic playing away against Liverpool is not an option. We expect Chelsea to concede against Liverpool away, so Petrovic stays on the bench even though he got 10 points in game 21. I'm looking to go with Kyle Walker in defense, who plays at home against Burnley, Gabriel, who's currently flagged, playing away against Nottingham Forest, and Alex Moreno, who plays at home against Newcastle. Now, with Gabriel, I'm not really thinking about it too much. I think he's flagged. If he doesn't play, then one of my players on my bench will come in. I have Bodman and Fabian Schär, who play away against Aston Villa. Not easy fixtures, and clean hits have been very hard to come across this season, so I'm not really expecting much from my defenders this season. But Gabriel starts and Alex Moreno playing at home against Newcastle. I do not think they keep a clean sheet in that fixture as well, but I'll stick them in the team and hopefully they can get me some returns. In midfield, I have Cole Palmer, who plays away against Liverpool, Saka playing away against Nottingham Forest, Anthony Gordon away against Aston Villa, and Foden, who plays at home against Burnley. Up front, Holland at home against Burnley, Joao Pedro, who plays away against Luton, Ollie Watkins, who plays at home against Newcastle on my bench, Garnacho away against Wolves, Botman and Fabian Schär playing away against Aston Villa. So this is how my team currently looks without making any changes. To be honest, I'm quite happy with how the team looks. The only problem is, if Holland doesn't actually play in Game 22, then I'll have to make a transfer. At the moment, I'm looking to go with the team and roll my transfers into Game 23 because I can make a few changes and plan ahead of the blank Game 26. But if there's any doubts that Holland doesn't play in Game 22, I think I'll have to make a transfer. And also, when I look at my team, at the moment, I don't really have a standout captain. But if Holland is involved, he's the one that definitely gets my captaincy. But if there's any doubts, then I'll have to make a transfer. Now, looking at the transfers that I'm looking to make, I could transfer out Garnacho and bring in Jarrod Bowen. Bowen plays at home against Bournemouth in Game 22. He has United and Arsenal in Game 23 and 24. And then he plays Nottingham Forest in Game 25. Now, with Jarrod Bowen, I think he's had a few terrible game weeks. He blanked against Sheffield United in Game 21 as well. He didn't really look good, but if you look at the West Ham side, they didn't have Paqueta, they didn't have Kudus. But Kudus is now back in that West Ham side after getting knocked out of the African Cup of Nations, which I think it improves them going forward. And Bowen at home against Bournemouth is someone that I could look to try and get into my team. He also doesn't have a blank in Game 26, so I think I could be happy to bring in a player that I know I will need in the next few game weeks. So Bowen is the top of my target heading into Game 22. The second player that I'm looking to try and get is Diogo Jota. Now, the problem with Jota is he plays Chelsea in Game 22. I think it's a fixture that we expect Liverpool to score in, but it's not really a guarantee that they get returns. After Chelsea, they play Arsenal in Game 23 away, and then they play Burnley in Game 24. That's a fixture that I would really want to have Liverpool assets in Game 24. They have Brentford in Game 25, but then they blank in Game 26. So, and the only problem with bringing in Jota is that you bring a player that's not really having very good fixtures at the moment and also blanks in Game 26. So, it's something that I really have to think about. Do I bring in Jota, who plays at home against Chelsea in Game 22, or bring in Gerard Bowen, who plays at home against Bournemouth? So that's something that I have to think about. But if I'm being honest, I think Bowen is the better pick for Game 22. Even though he has difficult fixtures in Game 23 and 24, I think as a long-term decision, Bowen looks to be the one I'm leaning towards at the moment. And finally, I'm looking at Maddison, who's just returned from injury. He plays against Brentford in Game 22. He has Everton in Game 23, Brighton in Game 24. He has Wolves in Game 25 and then a blank in Game 26. Now, with Maddison, I think I'll have to wait and see if he gets involved in the FA Cup against Manchester City. If he does, he's someone that I could consider. But without Son, I think it leaves a bit of a doubt in terms of returns in the next few games. But I think he's also someone that I'm currently looking at as a transfer target ahead of Game 22. So these are my 3 transfer targets ahead of Game 22. Diogo Jota, who plays at home against Chelsea, Gerard Bowen, who plays at home against Bournemouth, and James Maddison, who plays at home against Brentford. At the moment, I'm leaning towards bringing in Bowen as a long-term pick, and considering that he doesn't have a blank game week anytime soon. Now, in terms of looking at the double Game 25 and the blank Game 26, I just put together a few teams that I think we need to think about. I have Brentford, who play Tottenham Hotspurs, Man City, Wolves, and then they double in Game 25 against Liverpool and Man City, and then they have West Ham United in Game 26. Ivan Toney is obviously the one that most managers are looking at, but to be honest, those fixtures don't really look good. He's a very good talisman in terms of Brentford. He's the one that's on penalties as well, but at the moment, I think Brentford are really lacking going forward since Mbemo is not available. So for managers bringing in Toney, I think it's a good chance to take, but I'm not leaning towards bringing in Toney in my team because I think that double against Liverpool and Man City, those are very, very tough fixtures. I don't think he gets returns in both of them, so it's not really a good call to make at the moment. Chelsea play Liverpool, Wolves, Crystal Palace, Man City, and then they blank in Game 26. I have Cole Palmer in my team. I think he's a player that I'm happy to keep, and I just have to make sure I don't stuck on players that blank in 26 because I'll happily just bench him in that game week and play another player on my bench. And Chelsea play Brentford away in Game 27, so I still think I'll need Palmer for Game 27, so he stays in the team for that run. Now with Liverpool, they play Chelsea, Arsenal, Burnley, Brentford. They blank and then they play against Nottingham Forest in Game 27. At the moment, I don't have any Liverpool assets. Jota is the one that I'm looking to get. If I do get him, I think it's just an issue of moving in early to bring in the player for a few game weeks to come. If I roll my transfers into Game 25 and manage to have two transfers in Game 26, I can easily maneuver that blank game week without having to take hits or play my free hit chip because I think it's not much of a big blank game week. I think I'm not really stuck on Liverpool players, so I think I can maneuver that game week without having to take any hits. With Luton, we're not really invested in Luton. They play Brighton, Newcastle, Sheffield United, Manchester United, and then they blank. I don't really have any Luton assets, and if you do, I don't think they're expensive enough for you to have any worries in terms of the blank game week. You easily just drop them down to your bench and bring in other players. Now with Man City, they play Burnley, Brentford, Everton. They double in 25 against Chelsea and Brentford. Both fixtures at home, so I think it's very important that we stack up on those Man City assets. They have a fixture in 26 as well when they play against Bournemouth away. So I think at the moment, bringing in City assets should be top of the cards. In my team, I have Kyle Walker, Foden, and Holland. Now, Holland hasn't played in a few game weeks. I brought him in about 2 game weeks ago when I thought he was fine, but he didn't play, so I've managed to just keep him on my bench and not have to deal with any other headaches in terms of team news when Pep says he's available or not. I still have him in my team. Now, if Holland doesn't play in Game 22, you will eventually have to get him for the blank in Game 25 because eventually he will be fit and he will have to play at some point. So for my case, I have Haaland in my team already, so I'm not really worried about bringing in City assets. I have three, Foden, Holland, and Kyle Walker. I'm happy to have them in my team. If Holland doesn't play, I'll bring someone else in, but he will stay in my team. With Spurs, they play Brentford, Everton, Brighton, and Wolves, and then they blank in Game 26. When they blank in Game 26, they return in Game 27, and they play at home against Crystal Palace. Another good fixture after the blank game week. So I think we'll have to just manage and not stack up on players that blank in game 26, because then we'll be having to take hits when we have to put together a team for that game week. So in my case, I don't actually own any Spurs assets, and the fixtures that they have are not really the best fixtures because Brentford at home may be a good fixture, but Brentford can be good defensively on their day. Everton away is not an easy fixture. That would definitely be a tough fixture. Brighton, they lost to Brighton a few games ago. That's not an easy fixture. Wolves is a fixture that maybe you expect to get some returns from. Then they blank in game 26 and then Crystal Palace in game 27. So roughly, I'm stacked with Man City. I don't have any Liverpool assets, but Jota is someone that I could look at. I have Cole Palmer from Chelsea. I will happily bench him for the blank game 26 and bring in a player from my bench. With Brentford, I don't have any Brentford assets. They double in game 25 against Liverpool and Man City. Those are not good fixtures for me to attack. So I think I'm quite happy with my team. And hopefully Holland is available. But if he's not fit or there's any doubts, then I'll make a change. And at the moment, looking to transfer out Garnacho and bring in Bowen. And hopefully we get some good returns heading into Game 22. So that's it from me in this video. I'll definitely be back with my team selection when the FA Cup fixtures are concluded. There could be some injuries that can be a concern and force us to make some changes. But at the moment, this is where I stand in my team ahead of Game 22. If you find the video helpful in any way, please do leave a like on the video. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon.